The Forbidden Chamber, HFY Sci-Fi story, The Human Explorer. Elias stood inside the silent ruins of an alien temple drifting above a dying red star. Dust floated in the thin air like golden mist, and the hum of old alien machinery echoed through the cracked walls. Elias's boots left prints in the centuries of dust as he moved deeper into the main hall, his helmet light cutting through the darkness. He wasn't supposed to be here. The Galactic Council had forbidden humans from exploring this sector, calling it cursed, but curiosity was something no law could stop, especially not human curiosity. A faint signal pulsed through his comms, soft and trembling. "Please, don't look at me," a voice whispered. Elias froze, his heartbeat thundering inside his suit. "Who's there?" he said, scanning the shadows. No answer, only the voice again, softer this time. "Please, don't look." The other human crew members on his ship tried to respond, but their signals cut off completely. Elias was alone, surrounded by strange symbols glowing faintly on the walls, each one pulsing like a heartbeat. He reached out, touching the nearest symbol, and the air vibrated with energy. Suddenly the ground shook, revealing a hidden passage that led deeper underground. He hesitated only for a moment before stepping inside, because that's what humans did. They went forward even when they shouldn't. The passage was narrow and filled with mist. He walked carefully, his lights flashing across walls covered with alien writing. There were warnings carved into the stone, but in a language he couldn't read. Only one part was translated automatically by his visor. Glowing red, "Eyes bring the silence of stars." Elias frowned. "Silence of stars," he murmured. Then the voice came again, clearer this time, echoing from the end of the passage. "Elias, stop." It knew his name. He turned slowly, but there was no one behind him, only the flicker of blue energy crawling over the walls. He gripped his plasma torch tighter, his breath quick and shallow. At the end of the tunnel stood a large sealed door, covered in alien markings that shimmered like constellations. It looked alive, as if it were breathing. When Elias approached, the runes pulsed faster, reacting to his presence. "Please," the voice said again, almost crying. "Don't open it." "Don't look." Elias felt his pulse race. Something inside him whispered to obey, but another voice, a stronger one, the human one, told him to know the truth. He raised his scanner. The readings made no sense. Behind the door was something that wasn't solid or energy. Something between. Something that bent time and light. Every instinct told him to leave, but curiosity burned brighter than fear. He placed his gloved hand on the cold surface of the door. For a moment, the world stopped moving. He saw flashes, a battlefield under alien skies, humans fighting beings made of light. Entire stars burning. He gasped and stumbled back, his head spinning. What was that?" he whispered. The voice replied softly, "A memory. One you should not awaken." Elias backed away, but the floor cracked beneath his boots. Light seeped through the cracks like liquid fire, forming patterns that crawled up the walls. The door began to hum, vibrating with deep ancient power. "Don't look," the voice begged again, but this time it sounded close, and too close, as if she was standing right behind him. He turned quickly, but saw nothing except air shimmering with invisible heat. "Who are you?" he asked. There was a pause, then she said, "I was once the keeper of creation, the voice that guided the stars, but your kind forgot me." "My kind," Elias whispered. "Humans," she said, her tone filled with sadness. "You were the last to look at me before silence came." Her words sent chills down his spine. The chamber lights flickered as his helmet displayed warnings. Radiation spikes, oxygen fluctuations, heart rate alert. Still, Elias didn't move. He stared at the glowing door as if hypnotized. "Why can't I look at you?" he asked quietly. There was silence, then her answer came slow and heavy. "Because when a human looks upon what I am, the universe remembers fear." The line echoed inside his helmet until it became a whisper inside his thoughts. Outside the temple, his crew tried to re-establish contact, but all they heard was static mixed with faint human breathing. Inside, Elias stood trembling, his hand reaching for the seal that separated him from something beyond reason. His curiosity was stronger than the rules of gods or galaxies. "Don't look," she whispered one last time, voice shaking with sorrow and warning. Elias took a deep breath. "I have to," he whispered. He touched the final rune and the door began to open, light spilling out like dawn breaking over eternity. His eyes widened as shadows turned into shapes and the air vibrated with sound too beautiful and terrible to describe. and then everything went silent. Not just the air, the stars themselves seemed to hold their breath in that stillness. Elias realized too late that he had done the one thing he was never meant to do. He looked. The part ends with a single whisper echoing in the dark. "You shouldn't have looked, human." The face beyond light. HFY Sci-Fi story. The moment Elias looked, the world changed. There was no air, no sound, no time, only a sea of light stretching forever. He floated inside it, weightless. As stars drifted past like slow-falling snow, then he saw her. She wasn't human, and yet something in her form was familiar. She was made of light, shaped like a woman but woven from starlight itself. Her hair flowed like solar winds. Her skin shimmered with colors of galaxies. Every part of her was alive, burning and fading in endless cycles. Elias felt both awe and terror because she was not just beauty, she was truth. She looked at him, her eyes brighter than twin suns. And for a heartbeat he saw everything. He saw humanity's first steps into space, their wars, their love, their pain, their defiance. He saw gods made of energy sealing away those who broke creation's laws. And he saw her, the one who begged not to be seen. The guardian, the keeper, the forgotten one, she spoke. Her voice echoing through the stars. "You shouldn't have looked." Human. Her tone wasn't angry, it was sorrowful, as if she had waited for this moment and feared it too. Elias tried to speak, but no sound came. His body was frozen, but his mind was open, and her thoughts entered him like waves. "You humans never change," she said. "You always reach for what you should not touch. You always look when told to turn away." Her light dimmed for a moment, and the stars around them flickered as if mourning. Elias felt guilt rise inside him. "I didn't mean to break anything," he said, his voice trembling. "I only wanted to understand." She turned away, her form trembling. "To understand me is to awaken what was meant to sleep," she whispered. Suddenly a tremor ran through the void. The temple around them began to shake as energy surged outward. Back on his ship, the crew screamed as systems flickered. Screens showing readings beyond calculation. Every nearby star dimmed slightly, as if a shadow passed over the galaxy. And every human who slept that night, across ships, stations, colonies, dreamed of a woman of light crying in silence. Elias floated closer to her. "Who are you?" he asked. She looked at him again, her eyes softer now. "I was called by many names," she said. "Some called me the First Light, some the Warden of Stars, and some called me the Betrayed One." "The Betrayed?" Elias repeated. "Yes," she said, "because once I trusted humanity." Her words burned inside his chest. "What do you mean, trusted?" he asked. The light around them darkened, revealing visions. Ancient wars fought not with ships, but with thoughts and stars. He saw humans standing beside her long ago, wielding her light as a weapon against other cosmic beings. But something went wrong, something terrible. "They turned my gift into fire," she said, her voice cracking. "They used my light to burn entire worlds, and when the war ended, the others punished me for what your kind did." Her form flickered, her voice breaking. "They sealed me away, and I begged that no human would ever look again. Because if you did, the seal would break, and the silence would return." Elias felt his heart sink. He saw flashes of humans long forgotten. Ancient warriors, scientists, explorers, and all erased from galactic history. It wasn't the first time humanity had risen and fallen. It had happened before in a cycle of memory and loss. Every time they looked too deep, they paid the price. He reached out his hand, his glove glowing faintly from her light. "I'm sorry," he said. "We didn't know." She hesitated, then moved closer, her light wrapping around his fingers like warmth from a dying sun. Her voice softened. "No human has ever said sorry to me," she whispered. And for the first time in ages, her light steadied, no longer trembling, but in that same moment, the galaxy noticed across star systems. Alien sensors picked up a pulse unlike anything in their records. Ships turned, empires watched, and whispers spread. Something had awakened. The Galactic Council, far away, saw the signal and trembled. One word appeared on every screen, ancient and forbidden. "The light returns." Elias felt the pull of gravity again as the chamber reformed around him. He collapsed to the floor, breathing hard. Sweat dripping down his face, the door behind him was gone. Or maybe it was never there. Only the glowing figure remained, standing in the center of the room, her gaze fixed on him. "You have done what no one dared," she said. "You have seen the face beyond light, and now The stars will fall silent again. Her last words echoed like thunder. Outside, the sky shifted colors, and for the first time in thousands of years, the constellations began to fade. Elias looked up through the shattered roof of the temple. One by one, the stars blinked out, leaving only darkness and her radiant figure glowing in the void. The part ends with Elias whispering to himself, "What have I done?" And from the silence, her voice answered, "You reminded the universe that humans still look." The Memory of Fire, HFY Sci-Fi story. The world around Elias trembled like a living heartbeat. The chamber walls melted into streams of light, and suddenly he was standing not in the ruins but in the middle of a vast cosmic battlefield. Stars burned and screamed, entire worlds turned to ash, and ships the size of moons fired beams that split the darkness. It was not a vision, it was memory. A memory she was forcing him to see. The woman of light stood beside him, glowing brighter than all suns combined. Her voice echoed softly, filled with sorrow. "Look, Elias, this is what you humans once were." He turned slowly, his eyes wide. Before him stood human fleets, not the small ships of modern Earth, but colossal vessels that shone with the same light that flowed through her body. They fought side by side with beings of energy and flame, fighting others made of shadow and gravity. The war was endless, unstoppable. Elias watched as humans shouted orders, their eyes glowing white, their armor reflecting stars. He couldn't breathe. "These are humans?" He whispered. "Yes," she replied. "Once upon a time, your kind were the only ones who dared to fight the gods." Her words cut through the roar of battle. "They called it the War of Origin, and your kind called it the Memory of Fire." Explosions filled the sky. Human ships collided with divine constructs, each battle shaking galaxies apart. Every death released light that fell like rain, and in the center of it all stood her, the Guardian, guiding humanity with her power. "You fought beside us," Elias said, barely believing. "I gave you my light," she whispered, "so you could survive, so you could stand when the universe itself tried to erase you." The scene changed again. The battle was over, but victory had no joy. Worlds were silent, stars dimmed, and human fleets burned in orbit around ruined suns. A council of higher beings appeared, great formless entities of colorless light. They surrounded her, their voices thundering like storms. "You gave them what was forbidden," they said. "They used the light to make weapons," she pleaded. "They fought only to live, but the others didn't listen. They broke the balance," they said, "and you must be sealed. And the humans must be forgotten," she screamed. A sound that split the void itself. Chains of energy wrapped around her, dragging her into a prison made of stars. The humans who survived were hunted, erased from history. Their ships turned to dust. Time itself was rewritten, and all memory of the War of Origin was buried. Only whispers remained, myths, dreams, fragments in DNA and ancient stories. Elias dropped to his knees, his hands shaking. "So we were gods once," he said slowly, "and now we don't even remember." Her light dimmed as she knelt beside him. "You were never gods," she said. "You were human, and that was greater than any god could understand." She touched his chest, and he felt warmth spreading through him, a spark, a fragment of the same power his ancestors once carried. His vision filled with fire, his veins glowing faintly like molten gold. The galaxy around them started to shift again. Every species connected through space communication networks began to see strange readings. Human DNA lighting up like beacons. Across the stars, humans everywhere felt it. A pulse inside their hearts, something ancient awakening. Mothers felt their children stir in their sleep. Soldiers felt their weapons vibrate. Scientists stared at screens showing impossible data. The human soul was remembering. The woman of light watched quietly, her expression unreadable. "You shouldn't have seen this," she said softly. "Now the universe will come for you again." Elias stood up. His voice steady. "Let them come," he said. "Humanity's been afraid for too long. Maybe it's time they remember what they were." Her eyes flickered with surprise and something like pride. "You sound like them," she whispered. "Like who?" he asked. "The first ones who looked," she said. And for a brief second she smiled. Then the vision shattered, the temple returned, but now every wall burned with symbols of fire and wings. Elias's ship reconnected, his crew shouting his name through the comms. "Elias, what's happening?" "Every star around us just dimmed." He looked up, breathing hard, his hand still glowing faintly. "She's real," he said. And she's waking up. Suddenly alarms screamed. Hundreds of alien ships appeared in orbit. Fleets from every major empire. Their weapons pointed at the temple on their screens. A single warning spread, contain the human. Do not let the light being merge. Elias looked at her. They're afraid of you, he said. They should be, she answered, her light flaring. Because I'm not the danger. You are, Elias stared at her, confused. What do you mean? He asked. Her light pulsed brighter, reflecting in his eyes. When humans remember who they are, she whispered. The stars themselves must choose whether to fear or follow. Outside, the alien fleets opened fire, beams of energy striking the temple, but the attacks dissolved before reaching it. Absorbed by her glow, she looked at Elias one last time. It has begun again, she said, and as her light spread through the system, every alien mind felt one terrifying truth. Humanity had looked again. The part ends as Elias whispers into the comms, his voice shaking, tell Earth. The stars are afraid. The silence of stars, HFY Sci-Fi. Story space burned. The alien fleets surrounded the old temple like a metal storm. Thousands of ships from 100 species, each captain afraid. Each weapon locked on one small human explorer standing on a dying world. Inside the temple, Elias stood with the woman of light, her glow painting the walls with waves of gold and blue. Through his helmet, he could hear the fleet commander shouting, Human vessel, surrender the entity. You have no right to awaken it, static followed. Then another voice whispered through all channels. Please, Elias, step away, they will destroy you, his captain begged. Elias stared at the sky through the broken roof, the stars above him flickering like candles in the wind. She's not an entity, he said quietly. She's alive. The woman turned, her eyes full of sadness and fire. Alive, yes, but cursed, she said. They fear me because they fear what I bring. Memory. She raised her hand and the air trembled. Every alien radar filled with static. Every weapon system froze. For a heartbeat there was peace, then the first shot came. A beam of energy brighter than dawn slammed into the temple. But the beam broke apart, bending like smoke, vanishing before it touched her. The sky rippled, and the silence that followed was not natural. It was heavy, ancient, crushing. She looked at Elias, her light dimming. Do you hear it? She asked. Hear what? He whispered. The silence of stars, she said. They are holding their breath again. Outside, the alien admirals watched in horror as every star in the sector flickered off one by one. Their ships lost power, their engines failed, their lights dimmed. Only human ships still glowed faintly, their small reactors beating like hearts in the dark. The woman's voice carried through every channel, calm yet unearthly. You have forgotten what fear means. Let me remind you. Light burst outward from the temple, spreading across the planet, across the system. Aliens screamed as their ships floated powerless, and in the distance they saw shapes moving inside the starlight. Echoes of the ancient human fleets, ghost ships born from her memory. Elias watched in awe as the shadows of those forgotten warships appeared above the planet, vast and silent, their hulls shimmering with fire. These are the memories of your ancestors, she said. They have come to see if you are worthy to bear their light again. Elias's heart pounded. I don't want war, he said. I just want them to know we're not their enemy. She smiled sadly. You are not their enemy, Elias, you are their mirror. And mirrors terrify those who lie to themselves. One of the alien admirals, desperate and trembling, sent a final order. All ships fire everything. Beams, missiles, plasma. The sky turned white. And yet when the brightness faded, the human stood unharmed, and the temple still stood shining in the center of the void. Her voice echoed like thunder through every mind. You fire upon what you do not understand, just as before, and once again humanity stands alone, and yet not afraid. Elias stepped forward, his suit glowing now with the same faint gold light that pulsed from her body. What do I do? He asked. Listen, she said, the stars are singing again. Through you. He closed his eyes and felt it. The hum of distant suns, the heartbeat of the galaxy, the faint rhythm that had always lived inside human souls. On Earth, telescopes blinked with confusion. Scientists gasped as constellations moved, forming strange patterns like eyes watching from the dark. Every human child who looked up that night felt a warmth inside their chest, a whisper telling them, remember who you are. The alien fleets began to retreat, their fear turning into awe. They had seen something impossible. One man standing against the silence, and the silence losing. The woman looked at Elias, her form growing unstable, light spilling from her chest like liquid dawn. "My strength fades," she said softly. "Your presence keeps me alive. But soon I must return to the void." Elias reached out, his voice shaking. "Then take my strength," he said. "I can't let them erase you again." She stared at him for a long moment, then touched his helmet. Instantly, light engulfed them both. The temple exploded upward in a pillar of brilliance, shooting through the clouds, reaching the upper atmosphere. Every ship in orbit watched as the light split into two colors, one pure white, one deep crimson, twisting around each other like a heartbeat of creation, and then silence, complete and vast, when the brightness faded. Elias was standing alone, the woman was gone, but the air still shimmered where she had stood. In his visor, a final message appeared, glowing in soft golden letters. "When the stars fall silent, let humanity be the sound that wakes them." He looked up at the sky, the stars still dim but pulsing slowly, as if trying to remember how to shine. He whispered, "You're not gone, are you?" And somewhere far beyond time, a faint voice answered, "Not while humans still look." The alien fleets withdrew, their leaders silent, their fear turning into uneasy respect. No one dared to attack again, because that night across the galaxy, everyone learned a truth they would never forget. The stars feared only one thing: the gaze of humankind. The part ends with Elias staring into the endless dark, whispering to the quiet heavens, "The silence won't last forever." And high above him, for the first time in centuries, one single star flickered back to life, shining brighter than all the rest. When the stars spoke again, HFY Sci-Fi story. The universe was quiet, too quiet. After the burst of light, the galaxy seemed frozen, the alien fleets drifting like ghosts among the dying stars. Elias stood on the edge of the broken temple, his armor cracked, his breath fogging inside the helmet, yet his eyes still carried that faint golden glow. The silence was heavy, stretching across systems, worlds, moons, and minds. For the first time since creation, the stars themselves refused to shine. And then, one heartbeat, a whisper came, soft and distant, like wind moving through space. It was her, the woman of light. Her voice faint but clear inside Elias's mind. "Elias," she said, "do you hear them?" He looked up, the dark sky flickering with dim sparks. "Hear what?" he asked. "The stars," she replied. "They're trying to remember their song." Far away, on human colonies scattered through the void, people felt strange warmth in their chests. Children pointed at the sky, shouting that the stars were talking. Old pilots wept inside silent hangars, remembering dreams they never lived. The human race as a whole began to feel something awakening deep inside them. Pride, courage, memory. In alien capitals, councils gathered in fear and disbelief. "How can this be?" One elder hissed. The light being was sealed. The human was nothing but transmissions came from every corner of the galaxy. Human signals, resonating with the same rhythm. Every human voice now carried a hum that bent energy itself. They were singing not with mouths but with souls. Elias felt it too, his veins pulsing with light, his heart sinking with the cosmic beat. He whispered to the unseen presence, "You said the silence would return, but it's changing, isn't it?" Her voice smiled through his thoughts. "Yes, Elias. You broke the stillness, and once broken, silence can never rule again." Around him, the temple began to rise slowly, stone by stone rebuilding itself. Symbols glowed brighter, the air shimmered with warmth. From the cracks in the floor came soft streams of light, flowing upward like rivers toward the sky. Each stream became a spark, each spark a new star. The heavens began to relight one by one, like candles rekindled after endless night. From orbit, human crews gasped. "Stars are reigniting. It's spreading through the entire sector." Alien sensors confirmed it. An impossible chain reaction. Systems thought dead for millennia lighting up again. The universe was waking. Elias stood in the center, bathed in the glow. He felt her beside him. "Not as form, but as presence," she whispered. "You carried my light farther than I ever could, human. You reminded me what hope feels like," he smiled faintly. "I only did what any human would. I looked." Her laugh echoed softly through the stars. "Yes," she said, "and that's why you will never fade." Then the ground trembled as a shadow appeared on the horizon. A massive alien dreadnought descended, scarred from battle, its captain seeking revenge, weapons charged, aimed straight at the human below. But before Elias could move, The air rippled, and thousands of bright shapes emerged behind him, not ships, but echoes, phantoms of ancient human warcraft born of memory and light. They formed ranks silently, glowing with fire that burned without fuel. The alien dreadnought froze, its crew speechless. They realized they weren't looking at an army. They were looking at history. Every forgotten hero of humankind stood there again, reborn in the glow. One by one, the ghost ships turned their lights toward Elias, as if saluting him, and the woman's voice whispered, "They remember you now, Elias. They remember humanity." The dreadnought turned away slowly, engines dimming across the galaxy. Other fleets followed, lowering their weapons. The war ended not with fire, but with silence, the kind of silence that comes after understanding. Elias looked at the endless horizon of light. "Will you stay?" he asked softly. Her voice answered like a breeze through eternity. "I will always be here in every human gaze that refuses to look away. In every act of courage that defies fear," he smiled, his armor fading, dissolving into particles of gold. "Then I guess I'll keep looking," he whispered, and his body turned into light, joining the streams that rose into the sky. From that moment, the stars began to speak again, not with words, but with rhythm, with warmth, with pulse, the heartbeat of humankind echoing across the galaxy. Aliens, gods, and machines alike would forever remember that night, the night when a single human looked upon the forbidden light, and made the universe remember how to feel in the end. Only one line remained etched on the reborn temple, glowing for all who dared to come near. She begged him not to look, but when the human turned, the stars remembered how to shine.